Good afternoon and welcome to today's Women in Business Luncheon. This is such a highlight of our month each month, so we're excited to have you joining us today. We have another great program for you. Before we get started, for those of you that may not know me, my name is Blair Marvin and I am the Vice President of the Augusta Metro Chamber of Commerce. It is my pleasure to be joined, and you'll see our guests and honorees shortly. Frank Andrew, who's the president of Carole Fabrics here in Augusta, and he is going to introduce three of his female production leaders on his team. They're going to share a little bit about their perspective of being in the manufacturing environment as a female and the established culture change within the manufacturing world. So we're joined, along with Frank, Maria Reinhardt, who is the Senior Manager of Merchandising and Marketing, Rashida Murphy, who's the Quality Manager, and Donna Gohagan, who's the Senior Director of Customer Experience. They will all share their insights and opportunities for women that are currently in manufacturing or considering a career in manufacturing, as well as providing insight into who and what Carole Fabrics is as a treasured and sometimes hidden gem within the city of Augusta. So again, we appreciate you taking the time out to join us today. And if you happen to be watching the recording of this after the live presentation, thank you for taking the time to enjoy the presentation as well. Just a quick housekeeping reminder that on the bottom right of your screen, there's a chat box that will allow you to ask questions throughout the presentation. We'll have a formal Q&A session at the end, at the conclusion of the presentation. But if you would like to ask a question, please utilize that feature on the bottom right hand. We have some exciting announcement about Women in Business Signature event that we'll share at the end of the presentation for closing remarks. So make sure you stay tuned and keep your eyes and ears open for that. But at this time, I would like to turn it over to Brianna Williams, who's the chair of our Women in Business Committee and Community Relations Officer at Queensboro National Bank and Trust. Brianna, thanks for your service and leadership with our committee and through the chamber.
Thank you, Blair. Thank you so much. Again, welcome you all. Good to see you, I guess. I know we're doing everything virtual and it's a little bit different, but we are excited about our program and our lineup today. So we have a really good presentation for you guys. So to get started, we always like to thank our sponsors who make the luncheon, the virtual luncheon or in person possible. So I want to start by thanking our presenting series sponsor, which is Doctors Hospital, our technology sponsor, which is Hillary K Studios, our media sponsor, the Augusta Chronicle and News 12 NBC 26, and also Kelly Promotional Products, specifically Don Jones, who will be providing our speaker gifts. So making sponsor remarks today, we have Dr. Francisco. And I'm going to go ahead and read his bio, and I'm going to read it word for word because there's a lot of good important things in there, and I don't want to leave anything out. So Dr. Francisco is a bariatric and general surgeon at Live Healthy MD in Augusta and in Dublin. He received his undergraduate and medical degree in Ecuador at the Catholic University. In 2005, Dr. Francisco completed his surgical training at East Tennessee State University and went on to perform a fellowship in bariatric surgery at the University of Miami. After graduation in 2012, Dr. Francisco moved to Augusta, Georgia to join the team of bariatric professionals at Live Healthy MD. He is certified by the American Board of Surgery and is an active member of the American College of Surgeons, American Society for Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery, the Society of American Gastrointestinal and Endoscopic Surgeons, the Society of Laparoscopic Surgery, the Robotic Surgery Coalition, and the Obesity Act Coalition. You all can see why I wanted to read that because I didn't want to leave any of that out. Dr. Francisco has particular interest in advanced laparoscopy, robotic surgery, and bariatrics. So I'll go ahead and throw it over to you. So welcome, and you have the floor.
Hi, I am Dr. Jacome. Like you said, I work for Live Healthy MD, and I'm also working at Doctors Hospital. I am the medical director for the bariatric program at Doctors. I want to tell you a little bit about our program. We have a very comprehensive program in which we dedicate pretty much everything that we have into helping people lose weight, not only from the surgical standpoint, but also anything that has to do with motivation, lifestyle change, and obviously all the medical aspect of medical weight loss as well. We have a group of trained professionals here. We are the surgeons here. We have an endocrinologist. We have a dietitian. We have gym. We have personal trainers. So if anybody requires any kind of help, we'll be more than happy to help them on anything. I'm turning back to you, Brianna. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hakami, for sharing with us about what you do there at Live Healthy MD. And now I'm going to go ahead and introduce Frank Andrew, the president of Carole Fabrics, who will share a little bit about the company and introduce our speakers for today. So let me go ahead and read a little bit about Frank Andrew as well, the president of Carole Fabrics. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and read this.
You can call me Dr. Frank. That's okay.
Dr. Frank. There you go. Most of Frank's career has been in the manufacturing world and has occupied the role as president of Carole Fabrics since September 2017, where a variety of custom handmade window coverings are manufactured. Over the past couple of months, Frank's team at Carole pivoted their production focus to help stem the spread of COVID-19 in our area. What started out as a small side project to provide masks to first responders has now grown to include businesses, individuals, law enforcement, and others in need around the CSRA and beyond. To date, Carole Fabrics has made nearly 15,000 masks. That is a huge amount. With output growing daily. There we go. Welcome, Dr. Frank, and thank you for joining us. And I will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much. We are honored to be here, and I'm so happy to have my team involved with us today. So what I'm going to do is take you through my part of it, just to tell you a little bit about Carole Fabrics. If many of you have not heard of us before, we've been in this area for quite some time, but just to give you an idea of what we do, we provide designers, we sell purely to the trade, not to the to end users, but just to designers around the country, both national accounts and independent customers. But we make custom window coverings, accessories, and we also sell fabrics as well that we use in those things. We can also sell them by the yard as well. But we have the largest collection of decorative fabrics that we curate specifically for window use. And, where our biggest things that we differentiate from our competitors around the country, and what makes Carole kind of unique and growing, is that we have the best fulfillment rates in the industry, and we have by far the fastest turnaround. So for any of you who've ever had custom work done, either draperies, while we don't do upholstery, but it's the same kind of timelines, it's usually 8, 10, sometimes 12 weeks, depending on the year, or the time of year that it is. And we turn things around in about a week to 10 days. So that's kind of our differentiator in terms of what we do. So I'll give you a quick background of us in our history here in Augusta. We were actually founded in 1958, and we're based in downtown Augusta. At that point, just selling cut yardage, and it was over the years that we got more into the fabrication end of it as well. And then by the 1970s, draperies had become quite ugly, and curtains and all these different things that you see. But we were there to support the industry and continuing to grow with bad haircuts and the whole 9 yards that you saw in the 70s. But we continued to grow during that time. And so that we moved into this facility that's out here where we are today, out at Bobby Jones and I-20, where we've been since the mid-70s, and where we manufacture all of our products today. We bring in our products, we buy fabrics from all over the world, but what we do in this place is really convert them into, make them into other products. In 1990, we were purchased by Hunter Douglas. So this year we're celebrating 30 years of ownership by Hunter Douglas, which is a privately owned but very large, by far the dominant player in window coverings, if any of you have heard of them. But what Hunter Douglas does is make high-end custom roller shades, blinds, shutters, things like that. And we are their only facility in the U.S. that actually just deals with soft fabrics. So the things that we make in this facility are custom draperies, the roller shades, Roman shades, top treatments, and then also some accessories as well that you see like with pillows and things like that. We used to do bedding and have left that business. But that's what we do in this facility. And the way that we do that, and like I say, it is a custom operation. Every thing that comes down our line is specifically made to that customer, and some of the team is going to be going through that in a little while. But the way that we're able to do that is that, one, we keep all of our fabric here that we use. So we've got probably 40,000 bolts of fabric that we keep on hand to be able to service you. That's the way we also keep our turnaround times down. We've also invested in a lot of equipment that enables us to be able to custom make these products in a very efficient manner and a very precise manner as well, to ensure the best quality. That's both on cutting and then also in our sewing, our specialty sewing components that we have as well in the line. And then, in our quality assurance as well, where we inspect everything that goes out. And again, every unit that goes up onto these racks is different, but is suited to your specific specs or to the designer specific specs. So we were asked to talk a little bit about the cultural change here and what's going on. And some of this has changed in the last few years, but some of it is just the nature of being in a custom business where we're not making individual or lots of units of the same, that they're all different. And so I put a couple of things together that what I see, what makes Carole special and what has brought us forward. One is what I call the equality of importance. That doesn't necessarily mean, and that's for every employee here. It doesn't mean that everybody brings the same value. I mean, certainly some people, that their jobs bring more value to the company from a dollar perspective, but we say that every person's job here is equally important, that a VP couldn't do their job without the person who is doing the most basic of tasks. So we really focus on that throughout our organization. And then we really drive home the fact as well that doing your job well is only half of the responsibility of everybody here. The other half is being a positive influence both here at Carole and in the community as a whole, that we want people that are coming in here and that have the backs of the people that work around them. So we drive that home with everybody who starts work here. The other thing is sameness. We say sameness is not a virtue. If you were to walk into our facility and see our workforce here, it doesn't reflect the population of Augusta as a whole. I mean, it is like a United Nations back there. I mean, people from all over Asia, from Philippines, from South America, from Europe. It is very much a melting pot that we have here, but we think that is one of our superpowers, that we really celebrate our differences in our organization. We say we like to play in traffic, and what that means is that we don't stay in our lanes of our functional areas, that we very much gray areas between what we do, and that's paramount when you're dealing with a custom business, because communication is so important, as we'll talk about in a few minutes. We also talk about we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and you've heard this adage before, that it's more important to listen and speak less, and that's also very important here from a communication perspective, because every item that comes down the line is a different art project. So if we're not talking to one another and listening about the changes that are coming, then it gets us into trouble. And then lastly, while we say we have 1 mouth, actually we don't have a mouth, because we put our money where our mouth is. And what I mean by that is that we say that we want to live our values not only while you're in the walls of this building, but when you're going outside as well. So you'll see that you can see from some of these pictures from our workforce about how diverse it is, how we celebrate that, but also how we really show how important it is to give back not only to those your coworkers, but to the community as a whole. And that's a real important benefit, important part of our foundation. However, that being said, one of the things about giving back to our community, it's funny, a few months ago, a lot of people would have thought Carole Fabrics was just a fabric shop. In fact, the first time we were highlighted on TV for the mask that we were making, we were called out as being Carole's Fabric Shop. But I think a lot of people who didn't think that we're a mask manufacturer. And actually, the numbers that Brianna gave a little while ago were the right numbers back earlier this summer. Actually, by the time it was done, and we've now not making them anymore, now that there's so many different ways to get masks, the demand has kind of dried up, and we've gone back to our core businesses. But before we did that, we were actually up to almost 100,000 masks that we ended up making through this facility, both mainly in the CSRA, provided mainly to the CSRA, but then also to some outside like schools, colleges, and things like that we made towards the end as they were getting ready to reopen their doors back in the fall. So, but at the end of the day, out of all of that, what we are is a design house. That's what we do. What you see in this picture, you know, the things that you see on the windows, it's about making beautiful interiors, with our part of it being the custom windows that are designed specifically for that space in mind and for that designer. That's what we do day in, day out, and that's what we're the best at. And not only just for Augusta, but for the U.S. as a whole, and what we're really proud of. So I really take great pride in introducing the team that we have here today. There's going to be taking you through some things about what it is to be a custom shop, to talk a little bit about Carole, and I'm sure they'll be commenting on what it is to be a woman in this environment as well. First of all, Maria Reinhardt, our Senior Manager of Merchandising and Marketing. She started here. Out of all the people that you see here today, she has the most tenure with us, and that's at 6 years. We have had a lot of changes here in Carole over the last 3 years, just through retirements. When I started in 2017, with the president who was here prior to me, if you included him and his staff, the average tenure here of that leadership team was 35 years. That was the average. We had several that were 45 years and, you know, as low as 25 years. Now that the average of that team is 2.5 years. So we've had a lot of change here, and that's impacted the way and why we're even that much more dependent on our culture for what we do, because we're so dependent on each other. But Maria started six years ago, and you know, from a background in interior design, and she is the one that's responsible for determining what comes into our line, our building blocks, and you know, making sure that first and foremost we're winning the design war. Because we could have the best manufacturing in the back of our plant, but if we don't have the right designs coming into the front, you know, her job is equally as important on the production end as the actual making of the product. So with that, and then after that, we'll have Donna Gohagen, who'll be jumping in. Donna just joined us a little over a year ago. And Donna, I worked with her in a previous job where she had been for 30 years working in manufacturing in the laminate side, but she's come in and taking her knowledge of that and of interior finishes and selling to designers and to dealers to help us with our assuring our customer care for all of our different constituents that we serve. And then lastly, Rashida Murphy has been with us a few years now, joined us in 2018, but coming out of tractors. So she has 15 years in quality engineering and management experience as well. And she is, you know, she's going to talk a little bit about what it's like coming from a manufacturing facility where you've got sameness coming down the line, and now trying to determine quality where every unit is different. So very proud of this team, and they're doing amazing things, and just very proud to introduce them today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Maria first.
All right, so we're really excited to be here with all of you to talk about, you know, how we produce our product. And so the first thing that starts with our product, the same with any kind of manufacturing facility, is that you have to have the right building blocks to create your final product. And so for us, our main component is fabric. And so our department and our job is to make sure that we are finding the right fabrics that meets the needs of the customers. So we're getting a lot of feedback from the customers, from the field, from what's out in the world. So in order to determine what fabrics make the best product, there are 3 lenses or filters that we kind of go through. The first lens that we're going to talk about is the design and trend lens. So when we look at the fabrics, the most important thing is it a pretty fabric? Does it look good? Is it going to meet the customer's needs? Or is it, you know, we're looking at trends, not just in fabric, but what's going on in people's homes nowadays. So people who are remodeling, people who are building, you know, what's the flooring color that people are gravitating towards? What hard finishes are they going to be pairing with? What kind of light fixtures? All of those things layer a space, and our fabrics are part of that layering. And so we need to make sure that what trends we're seeing out in the field, we're able to find fabrics that are going to pair back well with it. And, you know, is it incremental to our line? So I like to use the term of not cannibalizing our sales. So if we put out a great fabric, we don't want to follow up with another exact same fabric, because you have one person who is choosing between the two. So what we want to do is that we want to always add new things that's going to attract new customers, and it's going to, bring in new sales. The second lens that we're going to talk about is the financial lens. So will it make ROI? So when Frank spoke earlier about having the inventory on hand, in order to meet our week to 10-day turnaround, we need to have the inventory in-house. And so every fabric that we choose, we need to pay for that inventory and have it here on the shelf. And so we need to make sure that everything that we pick, makes sense for us. And so anytime that I feel like I'm doing great and we're picking the best fabric, we have an aisle in the back, aisle 32, of all of the fabrics that aren't doing well. And if I think I'm doing great, Frank just takes me out to the back to show me all of my poor decisions I've ever made in life. So, but the fabric, we want to have exclusive, interesting fabrics, but we also need to have some fabrics be kind of broad so that, we hit a lot of different tastes, a lot of different styles. Our customer is not regional. It's not just the CSRA. We are a company that sells to designers and decorators all over the nation. So we want to make sure that we have enough product that hits all of their tastes, and then the end user's taste as well. And then as far as another part of the financial point is it a good price point? Because you can buy the fabric, but once you have to tack on the labor to actually make the product, it's an investment for anybody. So we want to make sure that we hit a lot of different price points so that the value is there, and that, your end product is going to fit the budget that you need it to be. And then we also ask participation for our suppliers. So every relationship that we have with our supplier, I consider a partnership. So in the fabric industry, some of you may be surprised, it is a very male-driven industry. So we have a lot of a lot of the mills are run by males. And so, coming into it as a female, I had to make sure that we knew exactly what product we're looking for, what price point. We had to do the research so that they realize that we know what we're talking about. We've done the research. We're not just about, oh, that's a pretty fabric. No, we have the detail, the analytics to back up every decision that we have to make. So the partnership that we have with our suppliers, if we do well, they do well. And so we look at them to kind of give us feedback too, to see what their market trends that they're seeing, to kind of find out what studies they've shown. And so together we can succeed as two businesses. And then the third lens that we have is operations. So a fabric can be beautiful, it can hit the right price point, but can we make our final product out of it? So a lot of times we lean on the operations team, we lean on Rashida's team to make sure, like, here's a great fabric, it's new, it's something that that we're picking up in trends, but let's see if this can actually function. Because at the end of the day, we want to select product that our customer will not have any issues with. And so we will test things. We'll get test yardage in, we'll try it, we'll tweak things, we'll try to make it work, because we don't want to just be in this tunnel vision of product that we make. We want to be able to be a little more broad. We want to be able to expand and adjust based on the trends. And then also, as far as operations go, in order to meet that 7 to 10 day turnaround time, we need to make sure that we get the fabric in. So for us, that partnership with suppliers is all about, clear communication and transparency. If you say you're going to get something to us in 4 weeks, we expect to get it in 4 weeks. If you say 12 weeks, that's fine too, as long as we're clear and upfront about that communication, because that's the only way that we're going to be successful. And, we just have to make sure that if something's been committed, that we can make that commitment, and that other suppliers can make that commitment for us, so that we need to be able to depend on that supplier. Because if our customer is depending on us, and we can't fulfill that for them, the customer is not upset with the supplier, they're upset with us. So we need to make sure that we hold everybody accountable, and that we're aware that we can't be walked over, and that we are, very strict with our deadlines. So, that being said, we pick the fabric, but then once the customer makes that decision, if the fabric's not there, then, our customer experience team has to kind of handle all of those special custom products. So Donna.
Thank you, Maria.
that was a really great transition. But
Maria loves fabric. Thank you so much, everybody, and welcome. Just want to kind of go over a little bit of the role with customer care, customer service, and our differences here at Carole Fabrics as well. So everyone that I'm sure you know, a lot of the base is made to stock manufacturing. So a lot of companies are actually taking either a historical demand or a forecast and looking at, what the demand is on product, what the masses want per se, or what the group of customers, and taking that input and determining, hey, we want to build to inventory, which helps to streamline production and to level it off. And then you put it on a shelf basically, and then it will go from inventory to the customer. But here at Carole Fabrics, we are a custom manufacturer. So everything that we do is really geared towards that customer and what their design requirements are. So it actually starts with a customer versus a group of customers. And they're in there working with their designer or working with their sales rep, determining what it is they want. And then that comes to us as an order that we produce and fabricate. And then we take it and ship it and deliver it right back to the customer. So we don't have that advantage of being able to build to an inventory. Everything is specialized. So that really drives what the importance is of communication for our group. So we really are having to determine and help guide the customer a lot of times. So we have to make sure, are we clear on what the customer wants? What is the fabric? What is the product that they're doing? Is it suitable for that particular job? And making sure they understand and help actually guide them through the ordering process and even the product process. So then is the customer's vision something that we can actually make and produce? So we have our product specifications, and believe it or not, every day we're being asked, for something a little bit different. They want to tweak something because they have this expectation and they have this vision, but we have to make sure that it is something that we can actually produce. So our team will work with Maria a lot on, is this fabric suitable? Well, hey, I need this. Can we tweak it in this way? Is this something that's available? And it never fails. There's something that goes to aisle 32, the disc code. And then they're really wanting that, and we don't have enough. So what is it that we can recommend? What can we substitute? So we work real closely with Maria and her group, as well as Rashida in operations on, hey, they're wanting to make some changes to our product specification. Is that something we can actually do? And is it realistic? Because the one thing you don't want to do is disappoint your customer, because like I said, their expectation is one thing. And then when you get the actual product, you want to make sure that what is delivered meets that expectation. Then we're also making sure, do we have the materials to make it with? And if we don't, or if there's something that needs to be changed into it, then we're working with our inventory team and our purchasing procurement department, making sure, hey, can we get it? Will it meet the timeline of that particular customer? They may have a specific job with a specific timeline, and just understanding with everything that is custom, how it goes through the flow of the plant, and making sure that we can hit their guidelines, and then being able to deliver as well. And one of the important things about all of that is, are we clear on what they want? Is it in line with our specifications? So product training and process training is vital, and that's something that we really have focused on and want to focus on, so that you do have that clear communication and making sure that you are able to guide. And also that helps with the customer, because we deal with a very diverse group of customers, and some of them have a lot of years of experience in this industry, and then you have some that are very new to that industry, and we just have to make sure that our guys have the tools and the resources, and make sure that we're able to communicate and work with that customer and help guide them. And so with our product, believe it or not, with window treatments, lots of complexity with our product. So in draperies alone, we have 15 styles of draperies with 22 different linings and 13 different options. So you look at that and you see you have over 4,000 different iterations that you could have with our product. So you take that on top of the fact that we have 8,000 fabrics, which is really unheard of in a lot of industries. I come from in my previous life and industry where you had 200 different SKUs of actual design colors and patterns. And now we have 8,000, which is amazing. And it's great. And it gives us the opportunity to be able to meet the expectations and requirements of those customers. But with that comes, like I was talking about, expectation is sometimes you do have, can it be done? What will be the issues? Or if they do receive it and it's not, then we work with Rashida and her team, again, on a daily basis, trying to help them wade through that issue and any of the opportunities that we have. So for now, I'm going to pass it over to Rashida so she can talk to you about the quality side of things.
So hi guys, as you've already heard, in a custom make-to-order only operation where the number of options are seemingly endless, variation is quite simply the nature of the beast. When you add to that over 8,000 SKUs of inherently floral fabric, it could actually feel a bit overwhelming. So how do we define quality when so much is subjective? And I'll give you one very simple word, and that's consistency. Woven fabrics, for example, may be riddled with slugs or thick lumps of thread throughout the entire bolt. So when you're having to determine if the quality of a fabric is suitable in a sea of flaws, we look for the anomalies. Are there some slubs that are maybe much larger than the others, or some that are maybe more closely bunched than others and gives that piece of the fabric a completely different look than the rest? And if so, we cut around that so that we can provide our assembly team with closely matched cuts of fabric. Similarly, dye lots can vary from one shipment to another. The threads in one bunch of inventory may be a little more blue, and in a later shipment, maybe you'll have a little more brown or gray thread, so that if you were to mix cuts from both of these bolts, you will actually have a finished product that has obviously visually inconsistent. So to avoid this, we make every effort to match dye lots, and we do this by using a Pantone lighting booth, which provides a consistent environment for evaluating color. But as the fabric moves through the process, it is actually the culture here that serves as the conveyor belt. I'll tell you something that some of my team members may not know. About 6 months before I joined the Carole team, I actually interviewed for the position that I currently have. And I remember as I told you, nobody knew that. So as I walked around the factory with the gentleman who was then the plant manager, I remember saying to myself, how in the world could I possibly manage the outgoing product quality with so many options and so little automation? And honestly, I ran for the hills. I didn't know it at the time, but I later found that the secret to Carole's success was actually in the culture. The Carole workshop is literally peppered with seamstresses, some of them who have been sewing for decades. They are a talented group of men and women from all over the world. We have ladies from India that have been sewing saris since they were very young. We have ladies on the floor who tell stories of how they sewed their own doll clothes as a child. They offer out-of-the-box solutions like using a flat iron to press pleats. They have a love of sewing and a passion for creating finished products and a level of talent that simply cannot be measured. They understand how certain fabrics behave and how to respond to that behavior. For example, a sheer fabric needs to be held tightly when sewed to keep it from bunching. It is just these time-tested sewing techniques, their commitment to quality, their eye for detail, and a true love for what they do that help us meet our customers' expectations. As new employees join the team, these tips and tricks are passed on to others in an each one teach one environment. And these women and men are the true jewels of Carole Fabrics. And that is the culture that we strive to maintain here. So how do we put metrics on such a highly varied operation? On one hand, we do what every other company does, right? We find ways to control our processes, calibration and auditing. We adjust our machinery as necessary to accommodate the nature of our many fabrics. We add automation wherever possible, like in our cutting and pleating processes. We use DMAIC and other problem-solving techniques to get to the root cause of our problems, use our product specifications, as Donna mentioned, as our guideline. And we monitor our returns and our customer complaints and make adjustments accordingly. But the difference here is at the end of the day, when we have a product in front of us and we have to make that go, no go decision, the questions that we ask ourselves are, would I hang this product in my home? Would I say that I am proud to be a part of the team that manufactured this window treatment? And sometimes the answer is no. And it's not because we made a mistake or we did anything wrong. It's because over time we've developed a sixth sense for what truly makes our customers happy. We understand that not all fabrics or fabric combinations work well together, that sometimes our customers are looking at a small swatch of fabric when making their choices. They don't maybe understand that some fabrics will drape well and maybe others won't. And in those cases, we go back to our customer service team and we tell them what we found, and we maybe make recommendations. We work closely with them to make sure our customers receive the beautiful handcrafted window treatments that they envision when they place their order. And in the end, we not only make our customers happy, but we leave them with products that transform their homes and their lives. I can honestly say that there are days that I walk through this factory and I am in awe of what we are able to do with a few cuts of fabric and a sewing machine. I couldn't be more proud of what we do here, not just for our customers, but for our community. And with that, I will pass it back over to Maria for a bit of a summary.
So earlier, Frank was mentioning how in the past we had a lot of tenure with our the people who worked here. We had probably about 4 head decision makers who, had been here for a long time, had seen people come and go, and have watched, the trends, the things change in life over the decades, and were really equipped to make most of the decisions, and we were the team to make it follow through. But since, a lot of people have retired, we've been having a lot of new folks on board. It's definitely turned into a group where we have to rely on each other to help each other make the decisions. So although each part of our pie is really important, that we have a specific need for each of our departments, we definitely lean towards each other and ask each other directions so that as a whole, we are making the best decisions for the company. And so this requires mutual trust. It requires, the openness to new ideas. And so, we're getting feedback from customer service. We're, challenging the operations team. So we definitely rely on each other to, see where we can push ourselves so that we're not always stuck in the same spot, that we're always making progress.
Yeah, and with the complexity of our business and the product itself, we just cannot afford to make decisions basically what we call in a silo. I mean, it would just be devastating to us. We have got to, not only when you're thinking of your own department and how something will impact you, and hey, I may need to make a change to this process or this system, you have to take into account how it's going to impact each other. And our other team members. And we really have done a great job of knocking down the silos and just making sure that we're working in, like Maria said, in a place of trust and knowing that, hey, what I do does have an impact on another department, so that we cannot make a decision that could actually cost us in the long run, not only from a product manufacturing cost standpoint, but also from our customer and our service standpoint. Because really that's what drives us, is being able to service our customer with a quality product. And, the culture and the trust is important.
That's true. Culture is definitely paramount here. It takes the contribution of our entire team to meet our customers' expectations and make their dreams a reality. So with that, I'll pass the ball back over to Brianna. And we thank you so much for inviting the Carole team to speak at this event. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we had a couple of questions come in. So how I'm going to do it, I'm going to ask a few of them. And then if you all would just give your unique perspective and just a kind of a quick answer, because I'm really interested to see if, with you all having such a unique perspective, have you all answered the question. So I'm just going to get right to it. The first question I want to pose to you guys is, what are some of the challenges you face working in manufacturing today? So Maria, I guess if you want to go first and kind of go down the line, the three of you.
As far as challenges in manufacturing, it's the hardest thing is trying to open a new window. We know what we do well. And so once you try to bring something else into the mix, it's like, okay, you have to have everybody on board. And, definitely we are always open to willing to try new things. But then you have, obviously different personalities that are just like, nope, no way. There's no way that we're going to do that. But we have to challenge ourselves. And that's probably the biggest challenge for me as far as our department is trying to, introduce some new items.
Oh, that was great.
And I think on our side, it really is making sure we understand the product and process and making sure that training's there, because we are on the front line with the customers and even our sales reps. So they really do rely on us to be able to guide them when it comes to products and process and will this work, and helping them even for a technical side of things, how to measure also, and just guiding them through that process. And then also, I think a lot of it is also when you're dealing, we are trying to deal with new things, new ways of doing things, and trying to break out of that mold, but at the same time, not changing just for the sake of change. We want to make sure that it's a productive change and that it's going to benefit us all.
Thank you.
I think for me, it is hands down breaking old habits. We have some employees who have been here a very long time. They have been working a certain way for a long time, and they are not necessarily open to change, not because they don't think you have good ideas or they don't see how the new way could work. They just don't understand what's wrong with the way they've been doing things for so long. So we have challenges in changing our processes, in making small improvements that will ultimately make our customers happier, when you don't necessarily, when you have people who are just used to doing things a certain way. So that is definitely one of the biggest challenges in manufacturing.
Thank you. Those are all great answers and great perspectives. Another question I want to ask the three of you is, what advice do you have for fellow women already in manufacturing today? Maria?
Ooh, did I have to go first?
We can switch it up. We can go with Donna. We can go in the middle if you want to.
Yeah, let's switch it up.
That's
okay,
fine.
Donna, go ahead.
I mean, in all honesty, I would just say, just be yourself. Don't try to fit into a specific mold. The uniqueness of every individual is what brings and helps in manufacturing and in any company, really. So be yourself and just make sure you really work to learn the product and the processes, because that really takes a person a long way and helps make you become a valuable member of a team. But I think just be yourself.
I would say find an industry that you're already interested in. Working with John Deere, I really very proud of what we did, building tractors, we're feeding the world, and very proud to be a part of that. But I always had an interest in sewing. I was just intimidated. I was simply intimidated by a sewing machine. I didn't think I could ever get that right, but I always had an interest in it. And then I came here and I was able to connect with people who I said, before had years of experience, were able to share the things that they knew, and that has really sparked that dormant interest that I had. And now I'm making my own mask at home, and I'm trying new things at home. I've, stolen my mom's sewing machine and going, and, so there's a lot of exciting things happening, and I'm building, hobbies for myself. So find an industry that you're really interested in, find something that you already like to do, and let it spark that passion and creativity in you, and let it bring something out in you. Let it develop you. I think that would probably be my advice.
Okay.
So I think I have two things just to hit upon, but I think if whatever you choose, whatever you're working in, whatever industry it is, that you really need to believe in it. You have to stand behind it. And if you're going to work in that industry, you really need to give it your all. And then also that, each one of us has individual and unique talents that none of us can replace the other. And that, we all bring something unique to the table, and that we need to just hone in into your gifts and being able to really shine and make your mark by, like Donna said, just being yourself, because there is no one else out there like you.
Yep. Oh, that's great. Another question I have, and you all may answer this differently, you may have the same answer. So if you have a different answer, I'd like for you guys to offer that. But what advice would you give to women thinking about entering into the manufacturing world? So we just answered the question of women that are already in place, but do you have any different advice that you would give a woman that's thinking of entering into manufacturing? And Rashida, we'll start with you. Will everybody give everybody equal turn?
I've already given my best answer. I've got nothing else.
Okay.
No, seriously. I think I'd have to piggyback on Donna's and what Maria was saying. You have your own unique talents, and dig into that and figure out what it is that you really want to offer an organization, and ask yourself what it is that you want in return. I never would have thought that I would learn so much and gain so much by my joining the Carole Fabrics team. And like I said, I actually ran from it in the beginning. So, just think about what it is that you really love and find something that allows you to give something of yourself, but also give something in return.
Thank you.
I think
Maria?
For me, as you can see, we are in 3 different departments, and we are all considered to be part of manufacturing. But with your gifts and your talents is finding which department is going to feed your soul a little bit, to kind of, find out what fits the best place for you. Because no matter if you're in tractors or if you're in fabric or if you're in your window treatments, at the end of the day, everyone kind of wants to be successful. We all kind of have the same goal. We just have a different means of getting to it. So if manufacturing is something that you want to do, I think you just have to find the right niche of where you want to be, and then within that group, find out hone in even better to where it fits you best.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And I agree with both of them. In fact, kind of understand, why do you want to go into manufacturing? Don't just, is it something that you're really interested in, or, and is the opportunity what you want? Because in the end of the day, you really need to love what you do. Whether that's manufacturing or another industry. So just make sure the reason that you're doing it, and just go in and go for it. And just, like I said, just love what you do at the end of the day. And if that's where you want to be, find the things that will help you and get into the department, like Maria said, that really suit your personality and what you want to do.
Oh, thank you. Those are great answers. This time we're going to let Frank go first. I bet you didn't really know you were going to get a question thrown at you.
I'm still here.
What has been the most valuable aspect to you about working in manufacturing?
Well, I was thinking through this when the team was just answering about why going into manufacturing in the first place. When I started out, I was not in manufacturing. I went into financial services. I thought that, I came into business and I wanted to go into finance and accounting, and I got into banking. And then a lot of the companies that I was doing work with, there's something about when you're working with an organization that is making something tangible at the end of the day that you can put your hands on. So when I went back to school to make that switch, I went into something, I did just what they were talking about, determine what my passions were, and I went into power tool manufacturing. And because I felt like, hey, you know what, if that's what I'm doing in my free time, then suddenly my work time becomes my playtime each day. So when you're passionate, and I feel like I have that same passion here. I love what we do. I love walking out into and just seeing the beauty that this team and our manufacturing creates. But I would say it's, at the end of the day, I would say what drew me to it, even though I'm not an engineer, I'm not a manufacturing engineer. What drew me to it is that feeling that at the end of the day, there's something that you can go look at and point to and put your hands on that's tangible that you had a part in making. So that's what I like about it.
Thank you. Maria, you want to go next?
Oh gosh, can you repeat the question?
Hold on, I lost the question. Oh, there you go. Okay, hold on. I had to. You threw me off. What has been the most valuable aspect to you about working in manufacturing?
I agree with what Frank said. You know, I come from an interior design background. And so I started at a computer science major. So, I mean, I totally switched gears.
Oh, wow.
So it's, you know, being in this field and being able to see the product up front, I find being in plants and watching things go through a process absolutely fascinating. Whatever it is, I think it's, you know, watching something start from just a piece of fabric turn into a finished product that's going to hang in someone's home, where someone's building a life and someone's raising a family. I think it's just, I mean, you know, that's the kind of stuff that feeds my soul. It's just, I think it's very fulfilling in the work that I do, knowing where the finished product is going to go.
Wow, thank you. Donna?
I got to say, so I've actually, I mean, I grew up in manufacturing, basically. It feels like it's all I've ever known. And I got to say, I'm a kind of a geek about it. I love all aspects of manufacturing, from the beginning to the end, from, you know, materials to the technical side of it, and actually seeing a product come out in the end, like Frank said, a tangible product. But also when you see it out and you can go into, you know, some of the other ones, you know, some of the other experiences I've had, you know, we had product going into a lot of the industrial applications, or into bowling alleys, and into now into homes, and we see our beautiful product, and, you know, it just makes you proud to say, hey, I had a part of that. And I just love all aspects of manufacturing. Couldn't imagine anything different.
Wow. Thank you. Rashida?
Sure. So for me, the most important, I guess the most valuable aspect would be the talents that is developed in me. I've been in manufacturing for 15 years, and working in quality is always a challenge. We have to develop skills, you know, we have to be diplomatic. We have to get people who don't want to agree and work together, try to pull them together. And I think I really have appreciated what being in my role, how it's developed me professionally and personally, and the skill sets that is developed.
Wow. Well, we have time for one more question, and Rashida, you already kind of started answering that, so you're ahead of the curve on that one. I was going to ask each one of you in closing, what skill do you think is most critical that has either helped you succeed, or that you think people should learn? However you want to answer that, but what skill do you think is most critical, most valuable?
Listening, and listening. We get so caught up in our own perspectives sometimes, and we are concerned about the things that impact us most, that sometimes we don't really hear the needs of the other departments and the organizations. But when we take a moment and we truly listen to their concerns, oftentimes we can learn something ourselves, and we can all come out, you know, much better than if we would just take our own perspectives and move forward. So I think, you know, listening to each other, really trying to understand each other, and trying to drive solutions that are in our all best, you know, everyone's best interest is probably the thing.
Thank you. How about you, Frank?
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, you can have talents in mathematics, sciences, all those things help. Financial, you know, a financial understanding, all of those things are part of the tool belt that you can bring to the table. But the thing that really sets people apart are the ones that really know how to, not just to listen, to nod, and just but seek to understand. And that's the thing, because it's not just about listening, but if you're seeking to understand, then it's also about it goes a step beyond, where you're listening, but then what you don't understand, you're asking questions about to try to further your own knowledge. So I think that skill, regardless if it's in manufacturing, you know, anything, is probably the skill that in today's society, where we're so virtual on everything and sending via emails, it's probably one of the skills that is being lost the most. But the people who are truly exceptional and in whatever it is that they do, and have the most opportunity for leadership, are the ones that know how to listen and understand. So I agree wholeheartedly with Rashida, and why it's such an important part of our culture here.
Oh, good. Thank you. How about you, Maria?
So I was going to say, I think one of the crucial things is the skills is researching and being analytical with the information that you're getting. But I think that also falls in line with the whole listening thing, because if you're researching and you're understanding and you're trying to find out the reasons why, certain things perform well or certain people want a certain thing, it definitely all falls into that whole listening bucket where you're trying to, to make the right decisions. You need to research and analyze all of your data based on the results that you get, based on the feedback you get from, your fellow team and from, the people you're presenting to.
Oh, thank you. And last but not least, Donna.
So I actually agree. I think listening is, and communication is a vital skill, but also, being respectful of each other and knowing that your idea, as great as you may think it is, that there may be other ideas that are just as great, and making sure that we respect each other enough so that we can value everybody's input. So listening, communication, and then also just respect for your team and your coworkers.
Thank you. And again, I want to thank you all for joining us, and thank you for your time and your presentation. Thank you all for being not only forward thinkers and innovators at Carole Fabrics, but also it seems like in the community as well. So as a token of our appreciation, with everything being virtual, we don't have anything to physically give you right now, but we will be sending you guys speaker gifts, again, courtesy of Don Jones at Kelly Promotional Products. So we will get those to you all in the next week or so. So again, thank you again for just taking the time out of your busy schedules and being with us today. I have a few housekeeping items before we sign off. I do want to mention we have our next Women in Business event. It's actually going to be our signature event, which is going to take place on Wednesday, November 18th. We have a special guest speaker, and that's going to be Rebecca Wesson-Darwin. She is the co-founder and CEO, that's important to note, of Garden and Gun magazine. That event is going to be at the Miller Theater, and that is going to be 5 to 6:30 p.m. So again, mark your calendars, Wednesday, November 18th, 5 to 6:30 p.m. And if for more information, we'll be constantly updating that a little bit closer to the event. Check out the events tab at augustametrochamber.com for more details. And again, before I sign off, I want to thank our sponsors one last time who made this possible. Doctors Hospital, who is our presenting series sponsor, Hillary K Studios, who is our technology sponsor, Augusta Chronicle, and News 12 NBC 26, who are our media sponsors. And again, I want to thank all of you. I know I can't see you, but I know you're out there. Thank you for.
So I'm going to jump in right here. I'm not sure if anybody else is having the technical difficulties that we seem to be experiencing. Brianna, sorry to jump in, but just wanted to make sure that everyone heard the important announcements. And thank you again, Brianna, for serving as Women in Business Committee Chair. We are pleased to announce, as I think most of this got out, but just to for clarification, we are pleased to announce our Women in Business Signature event to be held November 18th from 5 to 6:30 at the Miller Theater. We're very pleased to announce the venue that's different than where we've held it in the past, with the concept that's going to allow for safe social distancing and CDC compliance, and enable us to get away from Zoom and StreamYard and our various virtual platforms and into the actual room, as you'll see as part of our promotion. Even more exciting is that we would have our signature speaker, Rebecca Darwin, who is the CEO of Garden and Gun magazine. So that's a really great feather in our cap, and we are so pleased that she will be able to join us. We hope that you will make plans to attend. With seating being limited, we anticipate seats going quickly, especially as our sponsors will receive seats as part of their package. If you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, you can reach out to myself or Sarah Best, our Director of Events. We have a limited amount available, and we hope you will make plans to register and join us for that evening. Finally, in closing, we just want to thank again Frank and our featured presenters from Carole Fabrics. Thanks again to our sponsors. Doctors Hospital has been our series sponsor for this past month, and we're appreciative of their ongoing support, as well as providing one of their employees to serve on our committee. Again, our technology sponsor, Hillary K Studios. Our media sponsors, the Augusta Chronicle and News 12 NBC 26. So with that, I just thank you all again for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.